Alright, hey guys, welcome back. My name is Anthony, and in today's video I want to talk about the power of a story. So I just want to jump right in here. I was in my kitchen, I was on my phone, and I was doing what I do, following human trafficking organizations, and I came across a picture of a little boy. And when I saw that picture, I had this kind of sick feeling, and just because the picture of the boy just touched my heart, and so I'm looking at his picture and I'm like, oh, please let this be a good story, right? Because if you don't get your picture on a human trafficking organization, anything, just because everything's peachy keen, So anyway, I just had to know what happened, who this little boy is and what happened to him. So anyway, I came up to my office here where I am now, and so anyway, his dad, his name is Gesno. And this story takes place in Haiti about 2013, I think. And so Gesno is a pastor, and he's at church with his son, Gardy, obviously with his whole family. And so Gesno says that Gardy, his 3-year-old son, was extremely clingy, and wouldn't let him go. And so, he was fine with that. So if I remember correctly, he taught the Sunday school class with Gardy on his shoulder, right? So anyway, at some point, he puts Gardy down and he says, hey, go find your mom. So a few minutes later, his wife comes to him and says, hey, where's Gardy? And so the search began. And so time is going on. Gardy's nowhere to be found. I don't know how much time passed, but the phone rings, and it's somebody placing a ransom call, basically. He wants some money. And so somehow Gesno was doing something, whether an expansion of some building project, I think, but whatever, he was doing something that caused someone who knew him, someone who worked with him, to believe that he had some money. And so that's how they got Gardy. And so he didn't have that money. And so anyway, he gathered up what he could, went to where he was told to go, but nobody showed up. And of course, maybe they've figured out he didn't have the money. Bottom line is they can make a lot of money, right, with a kid through human trafficking. So anyway, around that time, there's an earthquake. Maybe you heard about it in the news. It was gained nationwide attention. So in that earthquake, Gesno lost his mother, his sister, his brother-in-law, and he lost friends that he loved. And his wife was buried under the rubble and had to be, rescued and over a period of time, right? So they had to dig her out. So all this is going on, and he's looking for his little boy. He's walking the streets looking for his son. So anyway, and I don't know how this happened, but somehow the news got out. I don't know whether it was in the paper or in the news, whatever. So there's an American working for the government. His name's Tim Ballard. He's down in Haiti, and he sees this story about Gesno, and he's looking for his son. And so, we all seen stories, right? And we feel bad, and then we turn the TV off, get up, whatever, and we move on. Tim couldn't do that. For whatever reason, Gesno just kept coming back to his mind. Just the story of this man wouldn't leave him. So he's like, I got to contact this guy because he's a government agent. He can do some things. And so he meets with Gesno. He's talking to him, and he's listening to his story. Now, little did he know that Gesno's story would change his whole story. The trajectory of his life would change, right? So that, and that's it. That's the power of a story when we let it hit our hearts and go deep in us, as difficult as that may be. And so anyway, so he's listening, and he's asking Gesno, what's going on? What's being done to find your son? And Gesno says, it's me. That's it. I'm walking the streets. I'm looking for my kid. And that's in the video that I linked to. So definitely you want to check that out. So Tim says to Gesno, he says, I will never stop. I promise I will never stop until we find your son. So he starts looking. Okay, so he's down there, he starts looking at, and so they find the house where Gardy was trafficked. Now, Tim, and I'm sure others, Gesno, were, hopeful, fully expecting that they would find Gardy. But they did not. They did not find him. They did the thing. They did the buy. They put the money on the table. You'll see that. So what they ended up getting was, and this is awesome, they found 28 kids there, and they rescued 28 kids. But Tim had to go back and tell Gesno Gardy wasn't there. And so Gesno obviously is a mess, but he says this, and I want to read it because, this is crazy. He says, if I have to lose my son so that 28 kids could be rescued, then that is the burden I am willing to bear for the rest of my life. Who says that? Who responds that way? He's lost so much, yet he's finding a silver lining in the clouds. And then not only does he do that, not only does he say that, he goes on to adopt 8 of the kids. Now this guy, I got to be honest with you, when you think about a modern day hero, to me, this is a modern day hero to me. This is somebody that I want to meet one day. So it's powerful. So anyway, the search continues, but Tim Balor's boss says, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep working this case. You got to stop. It's not in their jurisdiction or whatever was going on. So Tim talks to his wife, and she's like, well, look, you promised this guy that you would never stop. So you're going to have to quit your job till you find this guy, to find this kid. And so that's what he does. He quits, and he starts Operation Underground Railroad, and then he adopts 2 of the kids. Because he told his wife, I want to be like this guy. Who doesn't want to respond to tragedy like this guy? And his wife said, oh, so you want to adopt kids? And that didn't even cross his mind. But so they ended up adopting 2 of the kids. And there's more about that in the story, which is awesome. So, here's the thing. While they were looking for Gardy, since the search for Gardy began, they've rescued over 3,800 children through Operation Underground Railroad. And so, think about it. One man's story is shared through the media. Did the media have any idea, whether it was news or however it was shared? Did anyone have any idea that there'd be a Tim Ballard listening to that story and then what his response would be? And that 3,800 children later, and that's counting, right? This would change the course of his life and thousands of other lives. The power of a story, But here's the thing, right? There's 30 to 40 million stories out there. Men, women, and children who are slaves today. 30 to 40 million. And the thing about the story for me was that when I read that story, I couldn't get through the story. I did eventually, but it broke me. It was as if it was my child. It was as Gardy was mine, and I lost him, and I was weeping. I was sobbing. And when things get hard or whatever, I've never thought about quitting, but I have to say that, and I don't know what it is about the story. I know many people are being impacted by the story in various ways. For me, it just fans the fire of commitment. When Tim Ballard said, I will never stop looking for your son. For me, it just fuels the fire to say, I will never stop fighting to see slaves set free. I will never stop fighting to fund organizations like Operation Underground Railroad and whoever else, right? I will never stop. And this story is just so powerful to me, and I hope it's powerful to you. And I really hope you'll check out again the links because and the documentary, because there's just a lot there that I think is super impactful. So the question that I have for you before I wrap this up is, how about you? Do you have a story that moves you to fight? And even if that story is as simple as little as just buy and fight coffee, knowing that 100% of the profit is going to fight human trafficking. And if you don't drink coffee, every time you see somebody drinking coffee, you could just simply say, hey, raise that awareness and say, hey, do you know that if you fight coffee, they'll give 100% of the profit to fight human trafficking? Even if your story is that, I don't even want to say small. You know, because we could compare ourselves. Oh, well, I'm not Tim Ballard. I'm not this person. I didn't start an organization. I haven't run a marathon. Everybody doesn't need to do those things, right? If everybody, if everybody had the story of fighting human trafficking to whatever degree, if that was just a part of your story, collectively we will change the world. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. If one person can reach 3,800, I mean, he's got a team and so forth, but you know what I'm saying. If that's what one person can do, what can we do collectively, right? What can we do by funding these types of people who have this type of heart and commitment and compassion? There's no doubt we can change the world. So you never know the power of a story, his story, Gardy's story, your story, as simple as it may be, So I hope you'll share this story. I hope you'll check out the links to the article, the videos, the documentary. And I hope that you'll stay tuned and you'll watch the next video, because in the next video I'm going to talk about how we fund human trafficking organizations, right? Because once we hear the story and our hearts are moved, well, what can we do? How can we help? So that's what I want to talk about, how you can help through Fight Coffee by partnering with us by just simply drinking coffee. So I'm going to talk about that in the next video. Please stay tuned. Please check that out. And in the meantime, I just want to thank you for listening to this story. Thank you for tuning into the channel. And we'll catch you in the next video.